Right by the Mormon church, down on the site of the horse stables on archaeological days. Now we'll look round here.
I'm here.
You're not,
No, I'm not
Photogenic.
Good morning to you all. My name's Iestyn and I work for Archaeology Wales, and we're the company that have been doing the excavating work which you see below you there. One of the conditions of planning of any development, including housing and so on, is that, especially in areas of potential historical or archaeological interest, is that we do a desk-based assessment to start with to find out whether the development is likely to impact on any areas of interest. What we start doing the research is we looked at maps and then we work our way backwards in time and forwards again and do historical research, find out as much as we can about the area. If there's likely to be anything, then we do an evaluation, which is a series of trenches across the area, and obviously it looks very different to what it did when we did an evaluation. And then that came down onto areas of archaeology, which you can see here, giving us small keyhole glimpses into a much larger area which we've excavated later. So let me just take you through the maps which we found. We started off with an earlier map, 1836. I don't know if you can all see it. I'll just take this plastic thing out of the way. This shows Georgetown here, which was here in 1836, and Georgetown, of course, was built to house people who were working on the Cyfarthfa ironworks. So the whole area was specifically for people connected with the ironworks originally, and was named after Richard Crawshay's grandson, Georgetown. And this is the specific area we're looking at here. This was the area which was the stables for housing the horses which they used for mechanical transport and so on, taking ore back and forward to the ironworks. And they were kept in the stables which are here, and we can see bits of it here. We don't see all of it here. This is much larger, and some of it has gone under the road and also underneath the housing behind us. So we can see the shape of basically what they'd drawn in 1836. Tithe map, which isn't as good. Tithe maps are tax maps. 1840, a few years later, shows Georgetown here again, and you can just about make out the same sort of shaped buildings here with a few additional buildings, but tithe maps tended not to show details of buildings. It just gives you an idea. What it does give you numbers for each of the fields. So if you're ever doing historical research about an area, you can start off with a tithe map quite often, and each of these numbers corresponds to another piece of report called an apportionment, which some of you will have looked at, and they give you field names and the owner of the land and what the land was used for. So it's quite an interesting place to start with for local history research and so on. But the most accurate maps you can get are a bit later, and these are the Ordnance Survey first edition maps, and this is 1875 to 76. And again, we can see a bit more detail here. We have Georgetown, and here are the buildings, a few more buildings shown here, and again we can only see some of them because again they're underneath the spoil heap, underneath the road, possibly destroyed when they actually built the road itself. and some of them may be preserved either underneath the housing or may well have gone when they built the housing not too long ago. So basically we start off with information. We know their stables from the maps, and then what we do is we did an evaluation, as I said, small trenches looking down onto what we have, and then we knew there were cobble surfaces here, and we knew they were probably associated with what was shown on the maps. And then ahead of the development, because of we knew there was stuff here, it was decided to do a proper full-out archaeological investigation, and we've been excavating this for the last 3 weeks now. And we finish next week, and everything will then be preserved, and the houses will be built on top of it, so it'll still be there. As you can see, what we think we have here on this edge, according to the maps, we think is a smithy that was associated with the stables. Horses, of course, incredibly important in those days for all sorts of transport reasons and industry reasons, for transporting ore and so on. So they were looked after very well, and it makes perfect sense. It's the large garage depot of its time. This is what looked after the transport of the horses and so on. So the smithy, we think, and that wall, which you can see at the back of the plants growing at the back of the houses, we think is one of the original stable walls, and that's still here. And that's somehow survived, whereas the rest of it is just at floor level, where the rest of the walls have gone. I'm going to take you down there now, just have a look at a bit more things, then we'll go and have a look at some of the surfaces over there. Just be very careful, as you've told, I'm sure. There are very uneven surfaces as we go around, so just watch your footing, okay? Follow me there.
We've got a very large selection of them that we discovered and used. There was another one that's on the top.
Oh, right, okay.
Forms a perfect pipe from the 4 ponds down to the pineapple houses in Cyfarthfa.
Okay.
It's amazing the amount of earth that they've been pulled over it.
Well, indeed, absolutely.
Look at the depth of it.
I know, it's a huge amount, But luckily we didn't have to do that by hand. The mechanical excavator took away most of this and stopped about this much above the archaeology, as we can see it. And then a team of us came in and we gradually hand cleaned it with trowels and so on. So everything has been cleaned back properly. And we had to do that.
So when they built these houses here, this investigation wasn't going in, was it?
Well, I'll tell you what's happened. This form of archaeological investigations have happened since the 1990s. Has got more part of the planning process. Nowadays, you have to do it. Up until the 1990s, it just didn't happen as much. And the worst period for this was the 1960s, when people smashed all sorts of things in order just to build new houses, and nobody paid any interest in any of the old heritage. Really,
Lost a lot that way.
lots of things went. Absolutely no, and they're a lot more strict about these things nowadays.
Oh, good.
As you can see, we've found lots of different bits here. Cobble surfaces here. We have walls with different phases and different entrances, and a possible blocked doorway there as well, with different stone used. That wall over there looks like it may have subsided a bit. There's a pipe underneath it, and it may well have subsided after they put a pipe in. And there's a lot of pipe work underneath there, and a pipe going off this way.
These bricks could have been made in Cyfarthfa then, couldn't they?
Well, indeed, yes, lots of these bits,
I seen
indeed.
them years ago, stamped with Cyfarthfa.
Oh, right,
Stamped on
yes,
them, see?
indeed. No, absolutely.
I've got some of them.
You've got some of those?
Does anybody know
Look at them. Those are
what these are? These,
air vents.
they are air vents, yeah. Air vents,
Good guess.
yeah.
Educated guess.
Educated guess, no, absolutely. Air vents for a furnace. They're called a tweer. And it was for air going through the bottom of the furnace to increase the temperature within the furnace. So we found quite a few of these, which is a bit of a mystery for us, because the ironworks, as you know, are over there. But somehow, either these things have been brought over and dumped at a later time, including all this waste slag material, part of the industrial waste of the iron making process, and there are different types of slag as well. Now, I'm not a slag expert, which you'll be glad to hear, but we have lots of glassy type of slag, which is part of the process, and there's a lot of rougher stuff as well. Now, an industrial slag expert will be able to look at this and tell you exactly which part of the process this is, and if it was dumped here or if it was something that was happening on site. But we think what's happening is there's so much of this material generated in the ironworks over there. You could probably find lots of this all over Merthyr if you dug deep enough, to be honest.
Yeah, and Pennyard, I'm from the Dowlais Ironworks, I remember seen a lot of that in Pennyard when I was a kid.
Yeah.
We've got lots of this in Cyfarthfa, in the grounds, where they used it for like backfill and
Absolutely,
things like that.
yeah.
But these ones, funny enough, the holes across Merthyr shows basically saying it wasn't that much of a hot furnace, was it? It was probably not from there because they're quite small. The bigger the hole, I think, is the hotter the furnace.
Like, yeah, there are different types of ones that you have. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's right. So also we've got a building slate here with a roof with the nail holes in them still, so that shows that the buildings were roofed and so on. We've got a gentleman's found a jelly mould, which for some reason is here as well, and we've got which we think is a part of possibly the stable doors, possibly part of the hinge of the stable doors here. So it shows you how that was. So lots of things, and of course, if there are horses. Just to prove that they were horses, they're quite big ones as well, but they look similar, as they would be quite large cart horses. Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. Strong, big horses for carting ore around and so on. So
that's not a spring off carriage.
Yeah, it looks like a spring.
Looks like a spring.
where are you now?
A leaf spring.
What you thought was the
This
hinge
one,
of the
leaf
door,
spring.
it looks like a leaf spring.
Oh right, oh I see. Well, yeah, well,
Spring off a carriage.
it may well be. It's well, this is something we'll have to look at and compare with other ones. Absolutely, no. This is the initial thoughts are it was a hinge of a door, but as you say, it's something that we'll have to look at. There we are.
Leaf spring.
I'll get you to write that in the report. If that's all right.
Well, a carriage and a horse and cart.
Well, indeed,
blacksmith, they'd be doing all sorts.
Yeah, absolutely.
If there was a smithy here, they wouldn't use that in a smithy, these things to get the...
This would be the tree.
It's possible.
A piece like this would come into the furnace.
Yeah. Right. That you see came from just down there. There's a lot more buried stuff which we haven't exposed
At the end of that now to take some boats.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, oh yeah, I can see it, that's right.
You could have come into the
That's it.
furnace
So
and
you
stuff.
can
Right.
put another
Okay.
pipe to that.
There's a lot more metalwork down here underneath there,
bellows or whatever would
which
be
that
on
came
the
out
other
of
end.
as well.
That's interesting. What about gold sovereigns? Have you found any of those?
No gold sovereigns or dead bodies.
You found a horse.
Yes, there we are. Look, we found a horse.
Dead horse.
We found a horse mandible here. So yes, at least we got their shoes and we got their jaws. So well, part of their jaws anyway. So indeed, yeah, bits and bobs. So we're just going to build up a picture, and it's just lots of different things from different periods as well, So it's, but also people were drinking tea here, So it wasn't just horses and blacksmiths. So yeah, lots of different
My
things.
ancestors came down from Dumfries in Scotland selling tea.
Did they?
And one of them stayed in Merthyr, and that's where I'm descended from.
Well, there we go.
But they were tea dealers, and they lived in Georgetown.
Right.
They were itinerant tea dealers.
Well, that was from this site. No, where it came from originally, I don't know.
Now that can be identified now with the pottery, you see.
Oh, indeed. Oh, yes.
Pottery
Yeah,
expert,
yeah,
you see.
Lancaru or
It could be. Yeah, it could be Staffordshire. It's yeah.
you can see now.
These bricks, these were the same bricks that we've got for the bothy and the ice house at Cyfarthfa. They're exactly the same.
Right.
Stourbridge, aren't they? They're Stourbridge from up north.
Are they stamped?
Some were.
Right.
I believe that
None of ours are stamped at the moment.
They
so
were red bricks, really, weren't they? Red. Not,
Yes. No, we've got these. We've got lots of these on Cyfarthfa.
the yellow
stamps
one,
as well?
yellowy
Yeah.
ones. Okay.
Yeah.
stamps as well.
Not on the yellow ones, no, but on the red.
On the red ones.
But on these yellow,
Different types of bricks there as well.
Where is it? This is interesting. I can see a red brick there.
Do you know what that is?
yes.
Bits and bobs we find all over the place. Some of them you think what they are, and other things you think, right, we have to try and work out what that is. But all these are buried at different levels.
Do you record the levels when you pick something up? Do you record what level it is?
Yes, No, I'll show you back. I'll show you back. Right. Behind you, you'll notice that pipe through something which is very different from anything else on site. Can you see this? This line water, semi-circular thread going off here. And the pipe cuts through. So the pipe is later. The pipe is cut through the wall and underneath this. This is something which doesn't appear on any map. So we think we have a map that explains most of these walls and the right angles that we have here and the triangular structure, but not this semicircular thing. It doesn't appear on any map, certainly not in the 1836 map or any of the later maps. So this is something that we found which is new, which we had no idea was here. And at the moment, nobody can explain what it is. It's about, we think, 15 to 17 metres diameter, but has disappeared from most of the site, and the only other place it appears is just the other side of this wall. So we'll go and have a look at that now, if that's okay. Careful with your foot in. Just follow me around here.
Who's my boss over there? I think he's got drawings of it that you done. Which one is that? The one with the green jacket and walking. Yeah, with the greyish hair. That's my boss, Robert Barnett.
Explain this in a bit more on the way back out, okay? This is really significant.
Yeah, that looks...
Mine said a bit of
Okay. Well, I was talking about that semicircular line mash, line mortar spread. Oh yeah, there's a few of them. They were all over the place. Nothing curvilinear, nothing semicircular here at all on top of the map. But if you saw the base of it over there, and here we've got the actual upstanding remains you can see of the wall coming around this way. Now, we know this wall, which goes back, not the brick part obviously, but the long wall behind you and the buttress behind you there, is part of the original stable walls. I'll explain why that is in a minute. But that is on the 1836 map. But this rests on top of this curvilinear, this round wall which we've got here. So this post-dates that. So this is earlier. And if it's earlier than 1836, it's not on any map at the moment. So we haven't found out what this is. So one of the jobs we've got to try and do is to compare it with other similar structures elsewhere, not just in Merthyr obviously, but in Britain, in Wales, and see if we can find out what this may have been. About 17 metres diameter, if it was a complete circle of course, because all that has been trashed over the years. It's difficult to tell whether it was a complete circle or a semicircle and attached to something else. It doesn't appear on any maps, so it's all a matter of interpretation. So if any of you got any ideas of what it must have been, somebody told us at the moment that they thought it might have been a stock enclosure, but I'm a bit doubtful about that because I think it's too well built. Stock enclosures tend to be dry stone walls in many places.
Quite thick, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is well built, as if it's a base for something that went up a lot higher, to be honest, you know. So that's something we're going to have to try and find out what it is.
Didn't they, when they were doing some archaeology work at the furnaces, closer they came to the furnaces and they find older buildings and then they sort of weren't sure and they stopped. So it could be part of what they were
that predated that.
Predated
yeah, no, that's right. No, it certainly does. I think certainly whether it predates the furnaces, but it certainly predates the stables, so which is associated with the furnaces. So that's something really interesting that we didn't know about at all. And of course, this soil underneath it. So there's nothing earlier as we can see. And obviously the wall is built. Yeah, there's some stones here and stuff. Yeah, but obviously it's inside, and we think this was the surface.
Yeah.
Within. the circular structure.
Ah, right, yeah.
But that's only preserved in one little bit. It's been whacked through at some stage. Not by us as well. It's gone in the past at some stage. So there are lots of little tantalising glimpses of other things happening here, but it's just a matter of what we can glean from it.
There was a school there, I don't know how far out.
Oh, the school.
So we've got
10 pence, someone knows.
we've got the teacher and the pupil. You can have the complete story now.
Take his name and address. And what football team you got?
Right. When you're ready, folks, then we'll very careful up here, we've got this sharp iron.
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Funded by the Heritage Lottery.
Is that permanent for you then, Lord?
Till 2017, and hopefully refunded again.
Your best I can't see the stamp on that there?
No, I can't actually. I was trying to see if there was one.
You know, you're coming back and getting a mix.
I'll get you a stamp.
I don't know what even I've got. Have you? Oh, you got yourself.
All of you local?
That's the thing. We're not local.
I'm a split, so I'm not local.
Storm
So
City.
anything you can add to the story about Merthyr, that's brilliant. Keep chipping in through there. We've got the teacher, we've got the stealing story this morning, now we've got the people who did it.
Oh, I know.
We've got
Oh,
the
I didn't do it when I was in school. We used to
Oh.
train, when I used to play for Georgetown
Yeah.
Boys Club years ago, we used to train on the school, so we used to sneak over the wall. But it was broken glass cemented into the courtroom, so it wasn't...
Oh no, no. Right, we think this floor is an original floor from the stables and associated with this wall, and we think this wall is part of the stable wall, and I think we have tethering places for the horses.
Oh, right,
And that goes all the way along, some of them have gone. Although one of the children was asking why one of the horses might have been tethered up at that level, at window level a while ago. But of the windows have been filled in with breeze blocks as well. And it's now formed the garden wall for the backs of these houses. We put in a little trench here just to check out whether there was anything underneath it. It's natural here. And if you notice there's little marks all over the sites, not just in these bricks, but also around everywhere else. This is where, when they were taking the pop factory apart, a pecker came along and just smashed through it, and that's happened way before we got here, and that's all over the place. So that explains all that. That's not archaeology, that's something that's a later process really. But what happened, of course, when they packed through, roots grew and loosened lots of stuff underneath the bricks as well, so you get lots of what they call bioturbation, where plants actually affect all the archaeology. But as you can see, we've got a layer of ash on top of the natural, and the stone wall built up there, and the bricks up against it. So there's nothing here that's earlier than that. So that we established that. That's quite interesting to know that. So we're within the actual stable block here, and this is the floor. Behind us, you can see, of course, lots of cobbles of different types of cobbling. There's a wall along here, now gone, we just got the base of it. And rougher cobbles here, and a lot more tightly set cobbles here with a pecking hole from the pecker again, which has disturbed that, and possibly a post hole here as well. There's a couple of curbstones there which we were told a fence, an iron fence or something alongside of it as well. But of course what's happened is that when the pop factory came, they laid a layer of the black ash on top
I would imagine there was a lot more
cobbles
soil in it.
and bricks. Later bricks from the probably 1920s and later from when the pop factory, the Corona factory used it as well. So it's a complete mishmash of levels.
Why the different size stones and the different
Well,
degree
this
of
is-
ruggedness?
Yeah, usually when we look at
Expansion,
surface,
they started off
we think-
small and then big.
Difficult that one, isn't
No,
it?
exactly. Yeah. We think of it as being differential use of space. This may have been an area where something was you needed a completely compact surface, and here where it wasn't as necessary, perhaps. And it's a matter of interpretation and guesswork as to why the different areas were cobbled in different ways, and of course you get areas where they've just mended it by just chucking any material in to keep the level up. And it may well have been, of course, that soil
Put on top.
came up to here anyway, so it wouldn't have looked as rough as it did now. But we've cleaned around it just to make sure there's nothing. But we wanted to make sure there's no cobbles, for instance, like that, in between. In which case it would have been showed a different type of process.
Well, different levels, aren't there?
And at different levels, yeah. That may have been because there's a wall. There's a wall along here, so there have been different use and different inside outside levels. But the Corona factory, by the looks of it, some of the bricks are quite old bricks, hand-made bricks like these, which they may have salvaged in other areas and put it in with their own bricks. So there's a history here, different phases as well. Whereas these, we think, contemporary with this cobble surface, and this is to do with the ironworks itself, these stables itself. Associated with the ironworks. So,
And the change of floor in there is amazing.
it is.
Yes.
I know.
Look at that.
Yep.
Look at this.
Yep. And the curbstones
Drop
here.
to there again.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we thought that an entrance at one point in the area, maybe spot in here, the curbstone would suggest that possibly this was an entrance shop or something here as well. But it's kind of difficult to discern. There certainly was a wall opening across here, and there may have been a step in here. Oh right, you see,
Size
yeah.
of it.
Well, yes, indeed. We also think that that building down there, where that gentleman standing there, might be something of that nature as well. Although the floor seems to have gone completely from the
Look
side.
at the wall over across here.
Yeah.
The horses get in the stable.
Good.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. There's a pathway here, and there may have been an entrance in way.
to get in.
Well,
Right,
into
well,
the
very
hotel.
big,
Either that, or there were other entrances which we've lost entirely from the past, which are not here anymore.
Can you estimate how many stables would be here?
How many stables?
How many stables here?
What,
How many horses?
how many horses? No, somebody else said that the other day. There would have been lots of horses here, is all you can safely say, And it could have been more than 50 or so, It's difficult to tell. They were very, very important animals, it was a bit big with the transport at the time, and strong animals, and they were looked after. There was a story I heard that William Crawshay, that the Crawshays thought more of their horses than they did of their men, and there was talk of it being a heated stable block, whereas the men could just get on with it. I haven't found any evidence of heating here, to be honest, in terms of underfloor heating or whatever, but it may be one of those apocryphal stories that aren't true really. But they certainly were important animals. If you lost horses, obviously you had to buy more in order to get the whole process working, otherwise the whole thing slowed down really. So they were important.
Have you had plans of the Corona, the Corona layout to see what alterations they've done to it?
No, we haven't seen that many plans of that. We've seen photographs of bits of it. There are some old photographs that exist of the bits of it, but nothing that we can overlay apart from the maps. You can do an overlay of the maps and so on. So let me show you what we've done with the recording. It's a long process of actually. We've had to draw every single brick and every single stone at this level up to there, and then we have to carry on. We haven't finished it yet. So each one of these areas has been mapped, including the peck holes as well, so we know where they were, and where the walls were, and the layers of cobbles as well. So all these are being individually drawn, and then they'll be reduced, and you'll be able to see these as plans. These will then go into the historic environment record. And in the future, people will be able to access it if they're doing historical research into what used to be here and how the different layers relate to each other. each of these layers that we have, by the way, the gentleman was asking whether we recording layers. Each layer is given a number, and then each of the artifacts we find is ascribed to that layer, so we know where these things come from. Yeah.
Where are we now on there? We're situated. Where are we standing?
That wall is behind you.
Oh yes.
So these are the bricks you're standing on now,
Oh,
all here,
right, yeah.
and then that way is that way. So I'm holding it basically vaguely where.
That's right.
So
I see.
you're just about here.
Yeah, you can probably pinpoint the exact brick you're on.
Number.
Yeah, you're around about there. Yeah.
So is that a similar process that would have been used when they moved the Cyfarthfa really car cottages to Cyfarthfa?
Yeah.
Is that a similar
It's a similar thing, yeah. What they tend to do though is that they number each brick, because obviously they have to recreate this, and also they write on then each brick a number as well. You know, it's just quite an involved process, time-consuming process. Yeah. But as we're not rebuilding anything, we don't have to do that. We just have to record what's here, really. So there we are. So it's a matter of interpreting this jigsaw of things that we've got here. But the cobbles are the earliest thing, because we've established here by excavating. That's the natural there, and cobbles go on top of it, and then the bricks. When the hot factory came here later, 1920s and so on, they used that, and that went on to what, 1970s or so, I think. Was it here late 70s, early 80s or something when that was demolished?
And these would have been brought from the river, see, wouldn't they?
Yeah, they're river road pebbles, absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Whereas some of those aren't. I think some of those are quite slightly different. Yeah.
Well, Cyfarthfa, in the ditches that lead down to the lake, where he was feeding the lake with the water from Bryncowen Pond, that's all these cobbles.
Right. Yeah.
I know quite a few streets in Merthyr with them. Farmers.
Yeah.
Still got me, no street, haven't
In front of the station, in front of the old Merthyr railway station.
Right,
All
right.
that area.
Yeah.
In front of Izari's cafe with all cobbles.
Yeah, it was a common way to actually surface things in those days.
Yeah, it's not because we use
What
a
about
lot.
water?
Well,
Water course.
Water courses.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of water tanks, on the maps show there was a big water tank down there somewhere. Obviously, maybe gone or underneath that surface. There was another one up there. But in terms of water courses, we haven't found any evidence of water courses coming through here.
So there was a stream of water coming down.
Down to Gwen, well, up there.
Yeah.
Right. But we found no evidence of a stream. And we stopped at the archaeology. You know, so if there's a stream here.
Because, like I said, it was a brewery down by there, and they used to get the water from the.
Was that Tydfil Brewery? Was that it?
No, just in Yorkshire.
Oh, okay, right.
Used to be Die the Upholsterer, I did after. But,
Right, okay.
But
That's sin. We don't do it there.
not Die the Spy. He had the building after. Right. And that was
Highest field there?
A name that has gone on to the tide map over 200 years ago.
Yeah.
But not good enough now for the new houses. Riverside Park.
Oh, they can't spell it, didn't they?
What are these houses going to do?
We don't know yet. Somebody was asking me last night.
Well, there we are.
So what we will do is we'll ask for people to put suggestions forward, and then we have to. It's not a Welsh suggestion. We need to get that translated, and then we present them to the council, and they'll say, yeah, you could consider that one, yeah, that, or they'll say no, that's not appropriate for a variety of different reasons. And then what we'll probably do is go out and ask for people to say, well, these are our top 3 suggestions. What are you happy to go with? So that will be the plan.
But to name that area, Riverside Park, that name was suggested by an idiot. That name belongs, that name needs a blood transfusion that belongs to the south of England.
No,
am I right or am I wrong?
No,
Right, bro.
What do you think of Red House then?
Kevin Coyd at the Red House. John Betjeman came here.
Naughty man!
John Betjeman came here, the poet laureate, the expert on Victorian and Edwardian architecture. chairman of the architecture review. Every architect knew about him in Western Europe. It's an elite experience, he said, to come into this building. One of the nicest I've seen in the provinces. Sold for a pittance, then a nightclub. And if you came in to look at the building when it was a nightclub, you'd think it was designed by Edgar Allan Poe in one of his madder moments.
And now it's done nice now. It's
and now it's an art centre. And we haven't got the catchment area for an art centre in Merthyr. We got the Theatre Royal, one of the finest in the country. After the new theatre in Cardiff, that was #1, attracting the very best. Doyley Cart, Blindbone, Sadler's Wells, they all came here. But you go in there now and there's more pigeons there than when you find around the haze in Cardiff.
Funny you say
We
that,
have no heritage.
We just drove past there and there's all scaffolding up and someone's doing work there.
And the box is there to see scenery.
No, they're actually doing work. They're
Painting
rendering and
George Bernard Shaw visited it and
Yes.
he called it Merthyr's socialist pink palace. He wasn't interested.
Oh, right.
Being thrown away.
Well, it is happening everywhere. When you change place names, and I include pub names with that actually, when you start changing pub names, and breweries tend to do that sometimes, I think it's a poor thing, because some of these pubs, and that gentleman says some of these areas should keep their names. It also helps people like us when we're doing historical research, because the actual names suggest to us what was happening here in the past, and you can go trace them back to tides and beyond.
I read somewhere that one of the dynasty held a grand ball, and because there wasn't a room large enough at the castle to hold the ball, they held it in the stables.
that's true, yes.
It's true, is it?
I've got a whole document on that.
Have you
If you
really?
want to come up to the castle sometime, or to the canal then, I've got a whole print out of that where all the workers wanted to go and see the room, stay there, and he wouldn't let them in because they had dirty shoes.
Right.
So Francis Cross, who was a bit of a comedian, said, yeah, okay, you can, but all take your shoes off. And when they all went in, he chucked all their shoes in a pile, so when they come out, but that's all documented.
That is
yes,
true.
It is true, yes.
Yeah.
So the memorial on Pond Wallace, designed by
NCB, National Company. What?
Who was that now? Was that down there? Was it there, was it?
There we go.
And this is them on there.
Coyd.
Yeah?
Kevin Coyd.
Could be Coyd, Coyd, you don't know.
That's Ely, was the other one.
Yeah,
Coyd Ely.
Oh, Coyd Ely.
Cardiff, is it? Coyd Ely.
Yeah, Tonrevel.
Tonrevel.
Yeah. Yeah, because Coyd Ely Pit was there as well, wasn't it? Coyd Colliery, yeah.
They have a brickworks there one day.
That's a nice little piece, isn't it?
Yeah.
From the Corona.
Yeah, we got another one over there as well. So we got little bits of Corona bottle tops all over the place, really. And even a bit of a Corona bottle.
That's a little shoe over there.
Yeah. It's not old.
Nah.
It's not bad. It's not very old, that one, I'm afraid. No.
We didn't try it on.
No, it's made in England.
Indeed. So I just
made in Coyd Ely shoes, made in
want
Taiwan.
to finish off by just showing you that slice of the cake here for the we've got a tantalising glimpse of stuff going on underneath this foil heap. We've got bits of more cobbling as well, but that's not being excavated because they're going to. All of this, by the way, will be preserved. There's going to be a geotextile put on it, sand to protect it, and then the houses will be built above it. So in future generations, if they excavate either here again or to build something else, or further down there, they can relate two sides. So it's not being destroyed at all.
Is that factual, what you say now? It's factual? Because somebody from Gwent Archaeology told us that about the
Acusate.
and within 2 or 3 weeks they brought a brick masher in.
Oh right, well that shouldn't have happened.
And Gwent Archaeology was telling us that there was going to be a plinth, that they're building a new B&Q.
Right.
It's going to be a plinth over pillars, etc.
Yeah,
floor. Yeah, and then within a couple of weeks, the brick masher came in.
All right. Yeah, it's a difficult situation because what tends to happen is the developers have to pay for the actual preservation. See, they have to pay for the. But there's no reason why that can't be preserved because the actual foundation levels of the houses don't go down below this. so there's no reason to preserve it, so to destroy it. So this will be preserved, and it'll have a geotag on it. So basically, if somebody comes across, they'll know somebody's been here before or something like that.
If there's any consolation, someone from the council were quite confusing at the time when they decided that they were chucking GGAT off and they were crushing it all. We managed to get there and we got 2 crew cabs full of the bricks that they crushed, and we're going to reuse them when we do the bothy or the ice house, and so we can say that they were salvaged from the coke oven site.
It's good that that's been done. It really
and so
is
we
good,
managed to, we have managed to save quite a lot.
Preserved.
No,
it was absolutely fabulous.
Yeah,
really
but
fabulous.
we have managed to.
No, if they say it's going to be preserved, it should be preserved. Really, so I don't understand why that didn't happen. But this will be.
Yeah, just to reiterate what Justin has said, the delay in getting this to start, the construction start has been because of what has been covered here, and we have redesigned all of the foundations for the properties that are going to sit on top of that, so that afterwards, when the archaeological work is completed and the workshops and seminars that we want to hold, so that once the report is done, that's also shared with the coordinator. But it has meant changing the build programme once the design
Yeah, I've started a blog. Some of the residents have seen it, but anyone can access it, no one can access the blog. And what I've done as well as obviously, as you said, it's all documented this and constraints. But we had one school in yesterday, 50 young people came and they had a great time, didn't they?
Yeah, they did a bit of excavating, they asked questions all around.
Yeah, it was really good. And what, like again, hopefully then what we do is, because we videoed it, any school, this was Cyfarthfa school obviously yesterday, so the junior school, so that local school was lucky enough to come and see it, but then because we'll have the evidence, if they ever want to use it as a learning tool, they will essentially be able to physically show them with YouTube or any kind of device how the site looked before we started work on it, so it will be a tool there for forever for them to use.
Isn't the best thing, do anyone agree with me, isn't the best thing for this site is to be not left as it is, but developed into a tourist type area? Now the people's going to be losing out of the housing association or developers, but the developers should be paid by government funding from somewhere for this, because they shouldn't suffer. They didn't know this was here, the developers. So, and now that archaeology has been found, like Rome, like Italy, say for example,
exactly.
You come across something like this, right? Down tools. This is now the government. This is how we develop for the future.
But in an ideal situation, you're probably right. However, I think in the real world, what tends to happen is that there isn't the funding for that from the government. You know how short money is everywhere, to be honest.
Yeah.
And one of the first things that tends to suffer is heritage. It's a little short-sighted, I think, as a general overview, because I think heritage attracts tourism. Tourism attracts money, and the economy does work that way. But that's the long-term.
So much has been lost from by them doing that, or by them doing this, you know, because we'd like to see it for our grandchildren and great grandchildren. Of course, find it, you know. But it's nice for it to be left in a similar situation.
But there are people also as passionate as you about every single site I've worked at. You know, where we found something of interest, they say, "Come with a glass floor, and people can see this." And the only trouble is, of course, if you do that everywhere, where do you draw the line? Where do you say, no, that's no longer that interesting, or this is interesting? And there'd be glass floors dotted around Britain all over the place, you know, and so I can see there's a fine balance, really, I think, and so you raise an interesting point, but I think quite often the deal with the Garn, you gain because they're saying, well, it's all to do with money, I think, you know.
But the coke ovens at the top there, they destroyed it now. I haven't got proof of the figures, but they said there was 1,600 people came to see that.
Oh right, yeah. Oh no, there is absolutely. There is a big interest in these sites, you know. But quite often,
Would you say this is attractive enough to pull people in from America?
Of course.
When you think of Pompeii mine, It's an entirely different thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's there, see, isn't it?
Although I have people from the Kenfig Archaeological Trust who would tell me that in Kenfig they have the Welsh Pompeii down there under the sand. And if you excavate that, which would cost a lot
millions of pounds are being spent on the furnaces across here. And the only visitors are sheep. And in Blind Harbour Mine, the big attraction there is Big Pit, see? It's exciting, see? It's a safe house called Pit, see? But the works itself is good, mine. But the visitors' numbers are not all that.
No.
Thousands are going to Big Pit.
But they like the experience of going underground as well, don't
It's
they?
exciting for children.
Exactly.
There's a lot going on there, and a good dinner as well.
There we are.
Can't go wrong.
No, you're right.
Where did you find the horse head skeleton? Where was that found?
Just the other side, in the field, just the other side of that wall.
In there, is it?
Yeah.
Any idea how far that was down?
No, that was uncovered the other day. We didn't even know that was there.
You should get one of those camera things and speed and
There's also another surface here as well, at an angle, which has been whacked by the stuff above it. So there are lots of different surfaces here, all different periods, ending with that wall all the way across it. There we are. So that's all been recorded, and that'll be drawn as well and everything. So give you a cross section of it's like a cake section.
So you haven't been able to find anything in any of the layers that give you a specific shape?
Well, sometimes we find bits of pottery and stuff like that, which is post-medieval, sort of 18th, early 19th. We get that sort of stuff in different places, and the tusk from a pig. So we find little bits that can't date it, obviously, but bits of pot we find, and sometimes you get clay pipes. It helps if you find a bowl, but sometimes you just get the stems. So those can help date the little layers, but there's nothing startling here.
Well, I thought they said they can tell the date of the bone and stuff like that with that.
With radiocarbon dating? But
that's
that's not very precise, you see. That gives you a few hundred years, so that wouldn't tell us that much, to be honest. It will tell us what we already know, and it costs about £300 every time we do it. Sorry, could you not step on that surface? Sorry, it's just that it'll have to be recleaned, you say.
So when you say this is where the horse's jaw was found, is it?
Just the other side,
just the other
side of where it is now. Yeah, just
Is that the only parts that's found? The bones, yeah?
That's the only part of the horse we found. Yeah, we didn't find the rest of it. No.
He was eaten.
Yeah.
Is that strange just to find the head? The jawbone or no?
Oh, well, we find bits of animals all over the place and lots of sites. You very rarely find the whole animal.
Is it?
Yeah. Leg bones.
Yeah.
We find quite often as well.
No coins?
No coins. Coins are the best, of course, because they're
Not one coin, yeah.
great dating. We haven't found one coin.
Strange, isn't it?
No.
They weren't paid, that's why.
Bridles, rattling out, or gear from the horses?
No,
strange, isn't it?
lots of bits of iron, but nothing that we could pinpoint.
Considering it must have been hundreds of horses,
I know exactly. Yeah.
And all the harness in
Oh,
there.
that's strange, isn't
The
it?
leather was rotted, in it.
Yeah, the leather.
Yeah, but I mean,
All the back
there's
goes
a
from
lot
here.
of metal in harnesses.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe they were looked after properly and taken away when with the horses.
This looked like. The only way I could get it was to. Let's have a look. This is going back to what year is this year? Wait a minute. There's a book who took over the furnaces, a couple of That's a drawing I made during the war yesterday.
Oh, right.
Is there
And this fact, I worked for the Fox. What was that now? Is the Fox on it? And one of your drawings. I've got all your drawings in there now. To what you've done.
There we are. Look, there's the furnaces.
A big print.
And that's, I think that was the casting block there.
How much would you
That's
charge
now,
to copy these?
that's
dangerous.
We used to jump over these walls across here now, because there was another building like that on
The other side?
on the other side,
Ah.
but not as big as it was a ruin. And there's a bloke from Cloudy Bargo keeping his horses there.
Oh.
And Raymond, the builders, were the other side there.
Oh, that's right.
Mr. Bowen, how much would you charge me to photocopy that?
We're talking hundreds of pounds.
How about hundreds of pence?
Tell you what, nice holiday there,
Copy
Phil.
of it.
Ah, lovely.
That's a plan. Hang on a minute.
I went into the tunnels of Cyfarthfa last week.
Oh, nice.
I climbed up the back of them. They go in
It's
about
one of
4
the levels up in right now.
That was on one of the calendars.
Tom
never seen that.
Tom Lewis's level now. Let's see. Wait a minute. Oh, and this this is an old one. This is on this far.
Now, this I've been told, I've got on the tithe map, this has got down, and someone's written on the tithe map, site of Dick Penderyn's cottage, where he lived at one stage, and this is the engine house directly behind, which is still there now, behind the college. But it actually, and on the map, all these outside toilets are all still marked on it.
That drawing by there, the bastard plan for the more crusher plans, he wasn't talking to it.
Is that you?
But I put those in afterwards, you know. You understand?
Yeah,
they were added to it because I didn't see them. The only thing I could see when I was a kid was the engine house, and there was a big stack there.
Yes.
Tall one. Oh, huge one it was.
Somebody's brought in a photo to the castle where it was being blown down, that stack.
Oh, 49 hours blown down.
Yeah, someone's taken
those
a
are the boys in
photograph of
RVs.
that. They took it into the castle yesterday.
Have you seen the animation they made?
Yes.
Went and Global Archaeology?
Oh, this is one now. Hang on a minute now then. Bacon built the house for himself.
Yes.
Richard Crosher took it over when he got the lease and so on. Where was the situation of the house?
Well,
In the middle of the works. In the middle of the works.
Was it in the works?
No. Bacon's house.
In the works there.
Malky gave me two big accounts of No, I remember I'm going back.
Oh, there's supposed to be a big house somewhere around this area.
Cyfarthfa house, is it?
At the end of the canal, look.
Yeah. Site of the Mormon church there was.
So it would have been.
Handprint on the wall.
I've accepted it as in front of the. Oh, here we are. I've accepted it. Here we are. As in front of the Mormon church.
We'll have to.
Yes.
At the head of the canal.
Yes.
So if you find the head of the canal, opposite then would be there's the drawing. Look.
Well,
Took me bloody ages to draw those windows.
well, do you know
There's
something?
another group coming out, so I think we'll have to.
I've got it.
Talk
Excuse me,
outside.
gentlemen, I'm just going to have a cup of tea because I've got to do it again.
All right, mate,
I've
no
showed
problem.
you the
I can't
photograph.
find the one.
Thank you for all that information.
Oh, there's